African dictators are asking Russia to help hold on to power. The Kremlin responds by sending the Wagner Group mercenaries and weapons, gaining control of mineral deposits along the way. With the help of this cooperation, Moscow is trying to expand its influence in Africa.
Власне кажучи, мусимо розуміти, що
As a matter of fact, we must understand that Russia's interests are enormous, but the possibilities are currently insufficient. Russia has not a single practice of offering African states an alternative future, an alternative to the Western one. There is no way to create any kind of agenda even in place of the chaos that it spreads. That is, this chaos aggravates conflicts and could weaken the influence of Western states, although this is not always possible.
The Wagner Group is supposedly active in at least 7 countries in Africa. Their greatest presence is recorded by investigative journalists and intelligence agencies in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mali, and the Central African Republic, and more recently in Burkina Faso. Previously, this country was part of the French zone of influence. In January 2022, there was a military coup. The agreement with France on assistance in the fight against Islamist radicals was terminated, and then Russian mercenaries came in.
Vladimir Putin, who is very fond of talking about the neocolonialism of the West, is themselves in general engaged in the same neocolonialism. Because when you come to a foreign country and in general, in fact, you are engaged in pumping out resources from there, in exchange for the fact that you allegedly build some kind of vertical of power there and teach people there how to manage their people. And what else is it except as a colonial policy?
The Kremlin's proxy military organization Wagner Group is engaged in the personal protection of the leaders of friendly regimes and the military training of militias in African countries. In exchange for these services, the head of PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin, receives certain privileges and licenses for the use of resources, as well for the supply of weapons, technologies and military services to these countries. The citizens of African countries are the least interested in this, experts say.
Russia gets access to the resources of these countries. Often we are talking about states in which there are rich deposits of minerals. Is it specifically gold or is it diamonds?
International isolation in connection with the full-scale invasion of Ukraine forced Russia to take a closer look at Africa. After all, Moscow needs new partners to demonstrate its influence on the world stage, including in the UN.
також спрямовані на дестабілізацію ситуації.
They are also aimed at destabilizing the situation in Europe, diverting the attention of European states from the Russian sphere of influence, which they claim in Eastern and Central Europe or in Asia. And, of course, we are talking about France first of all, and in order to maintain and expand its sphere of influence on the states at the UN level, in various public organizations that support the Russian position.
At the same time, the Kremlin lacks the resources to increase its activity on the African continent, experts say. Forces are being worn down in the aggressive Russian-Ukrainian war, which is still preferred in Moscow. Reported by Pavel Steinmach, Vasyl Panasiuk, UATV News.